The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dan French. This is the French Workbench Podcast. And I have my buddy here, Mr. Brett Jenny. Brett, what do you think about that intro, buddy?
That's why you wanted me to put on the headset. You're like, put him on. I said, I like to bareback this man.
There you go, man. There you go. Look at you, man.
Badass. I love it.
Are you ready to rock?
That's a nice touch to the Dan Frank workbench. I was giving him shit all week. I said, it's Dan Frank.
Dan Frank, baby. All right, so let's get into this show, guys. We have a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening here in Las Vegas, as always. Let's kind of turn that down here for a second. So I wanted to give that introduction to Brett. Brett is definitely into that type of music. You love Ozzy, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I like to bite bats' heads off and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, Ozzy. Grew up on Ozzy, AC/DC, all that good stuff, man.
Yeah, you did all that stuff, right?
I just aged myself big time right there. So
you guys know this is the most real behind-the-scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk happening here in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Dan French, and we're streaming live here from Las Vegas. We got a great show for you today. Talk a lot about what's happening in the markets here with the housing market. Also, we had payrolls increased 528,000. What does this mean for a recession? We're going to talk about that as far as housing numbers, and also really just the positive impact that you look at for the employment situation. A lot of people feel that, if you see numbers like that with employment, that we're really not technically in a recession yet. And we've seen a lot of people talk about it over the last week. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Also, distressed mortgages, right? And also foreclosures. We're starting to see what's the outcome, or the next 12 months, the outcome of when we had the forbearance plan that was going on. And kind of see what's going to be with the outcome with all this equity that people have in homes. It's going to be hard for them to walk away. They would probably be forced to sell their house, right? And then we're going to talk about the housing market, and Doug's going to talk a little bit about what's going on with his topic on home inspection. I know he's got a doozy. So what's going on with you today, Doug? How's things going, buddy?
Good. Been busy, man. This is a busy week. Actually, this week was busier than last year this week.
Why is that?
I don't know. That's I think
than last year at this. So
so it basically charts. It kind of charts what I do a lot of monthly basis and a weekly basis and all that other stuff. And it's just like charts. But it's last 2 weeks have been busier than the last 2 weeks last year at this time.
Huh. So you're busier right now at this time than you were last year at this time.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. And what I've noticed too is I do have some investors. I do have some first-time home buyers actually coming in to buying, and there's some large homes that I've done. I did one yesterday. It was almost 5,000 square feet, and so
wow.
Yeah. So there's.
People are buying, is what you're saying.
People are buying,
People are starting to step back
kind
in
of across the board,
yeah.
So I think
I think it's a good point that you bring up here, Doug, because I do feel that a lot of there's a lot of skepticism. A lot of people out there still feel that there's not the activity, which I could see it. The eyeball test tells me there's not a lot of activity, or at least as much activity. I think you can attest to that too, right?
I should say there's good activity, but it's a matter of, is that activity actively pulling the trigger on things? And for the last 2 months, it's been everyone kind of at a standstill. And what I'm seeing now is probably the same amount of buyers, but I'm actually starting to see people kind of chill out a little bit and step forward with wanting to purchase a home and be serious about it now, and are kind of comfortable with the new norm of housing, of what's going on right now. So The housing market could come down some. It probably will come down some, but they feel comfortable enough at this point that they're still going to win in the end. And they can get the house that they want, and they've wanted for a while, and not have 20 offers.
I think, and then Dan, like Dan brought up earlier in the beginning, it's 528,000 increase on the employment, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's the payrolls, non-farms payrolls came in.
Non-farm.
Yeah, they came in high. But let's talk a little bit about a couple of things that I want to bring up. So, first off, I want you guys to come over here. We're going to have a great show for you guys. We're also going to do some market update analysis on what's going on here in Las Vegas for the month of July. But I want you to come over here for a second, and you could take a look. First off, here's the LV Home Professionals. Before we get into all this talk about what's happening here in Las Vegas, some of the foreclosure activity we see, and also what's happening with this employment, and is it going to, what is the recession talk with that? I want to talk a little bit about what we do here. So I'm a real estate agent here at Key Real Estate. If you guys want to come here, you can find your new home or find a dream home, whatever it is. We deal with all types of different clients, all the way down from 150,000 all the way as high as you want it to be, right, Brett? So
absolutely,
you guys can come on here. A lot of information on distressed properties, reduced prices on homes, new to the listings of the MLS, right? Yeah. Also, if you guys have any open houses. So we also have some links here that we've created. And all of these links are in the comments section. So you guys need to take a look at that. I understand people probably skim through that, because I do. That's where all the meat and potatoes is at, right, Brett? Because you're from Wisconsin, right? So you
brought it up, not me.
Did you guys grow up on meat and potatoes over there in Wisconsin?
And cheese and beer, brother. That was our nutrients. Everybody.
That's all you did. That was breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wake up,
meat, potatoes,
cheese and beer, and meat and potatoes. Go to bed. Meat and potatoes, cheese and beer. Throw in some football, we're all good.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this move-in ready. I know everybody wants to know, what is this all about, right? Well, I do a move-in ready home. We talked about the Pierce. This is the Pierce. So if you guys have information on a property or this property that you want that's been reduced,
they had some good discounts on that one.
Huge discount.
Because I did that one too.
Here, and this is called the Pierce.
So we're not going to go into this, but I just want you guys to understand.
I think they had something like $45,000 in flooring.
Same
they're
thing here.
Offering 6% closing costs. So everybody knows normal closing costs in the state of Nevada are about 3% of the purchase price, correct?
Correct.
If you're getting a loan.
Correct.
So they're offering 6%. So what could they do with that extra 3%?
Right. I agree.
No, I mean, what could they do with it? Buy down the rate?
Buy down the rate. You could put into closing costs or whatever money that you had.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much it. You can't really, they can't give you money.
Yeah, but they can buy down that rate significantly, correct?
For sure. They can buy down the rate, help with closing costs. Really, they're just saying we're trying to help and just
They're saying we're going to cover all of your closing costs and buy down your rate.
So going back here, we have move-in ready construction home, right? So this is in the southwest area, and this is the Juliet. Again, this is off of Rainbow Crossing or right across the street. We've also done a quick move-in. You have some of the incentives here. So I want you guys to go take a look at this. There's also a nice tour that I did on this house. So again, this is another same area, but I could tell you that a lot of the upgrades and things, take a look if you guys have time. It's not too long. Yeah, it's right across the street. Also, if you guys have any homes just reduced, if you guys want to click on this link, it'll take you to my website and update you on all the homes that were just reduced, have a reduction in price, which, we've been looking at these houses, and it's been a lot recently that you're seeing a lot of these prices of homes coming down, especially in that 700 plus range. Also, we're going to go over some stuff here at the end on this, but let's get back into this talk we're going to talk about. So anyways, let's talk about, first off, let's look at the foreclosures, distressed market. Okay, so the distressed market, they say over the next 12 months after the foreclosure, or not the foreclosure, but the forbearance situation, that we're going to start to see an uptick. 74% of it's 9 out of 10 of the mortgage servicers, including the government sanctioned entities, are stating that we are going to have a significant, or just a pretty good amount of foreclosures come on the market. There's 15% that says it's going to be significant. And so they're saying that there's going to be a lot more data and foreclosure activity because people are going to be forced, if they didn't make their mortgage payment, to sell their house because they have equity to get out of that position. Now, we saw that before.
How are we selling foreclosures at a law or having foreclosures if you just said right there? they've got enough equity where, yeah, it's unfortunate they need to sell their house, but they've got equity where they can sell their house. So that's not getting foreclosed on.
So
why would you get foreclosed on if you've got equity enough? Like, it sucks you have to sell it, don't get me wrong. And in a sense, being forced to do anything is not a good sign. However, if you have enough equity and you can sell it and not take, how's that a foreclosure or going to get to a foreclosure?
Well, we saw the foreclosure. We're not going to go back to this market of 2008, 6, 7, and 8, where we saw the foreclosure activity rise. But it's still something out there on the table. And they're also saying it's going to be higher than or could be comparable or even higher than pre-pandemic levels.
It might be.
Now, is that really something that people are going to be able to come in and take? Let's say they do go to foreclosure. What do you think the percentage of foreclosures with the amount of equity people have, where if they sell, they're just going to pay off whatever they owe to the servicer?
That's what I'm curious about is what's your situation where if you have equity and it sucks that you're forced to sell, but you have equity. I just don't understand if you've owned the house for 3 or 4 years plus where you don't have enough. You know what? Unless they took out a home equity loan or did something.
Couldn't you take out a home equity?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's always a segment of people who use their house as an ATM. There's always going to be. We saw that during the housing crash of 07, 08. That's what led to a lot of it, where people were drawing out $150,000, $200,000 equity. They're going out and buying, boats and awesome vacations and, wasteful money. So that might be a segment, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure that will come into play. I just don't know to what degree, because there's so much equity compared to, the last housing crash that
So you look at it and they say, well, they had a forbearance program and that was the protection that people use.
I get that.
But couldn't they just refinance if they do have equity? Look, maybe they have lates, because I know that you have to wait a certain period of time. It's usually 90 days, 3 months that says you're on time making your payments again before any servicer or mortgage company
or something,
will refi or try to put you back in a position to buy a house. That was the regulations and guidelines. So I guess you look at it and go, well, if you're 3 months down already, and then now you have to take over that mortgage, right? And you got to start making your payments on this. Well, that's obviously expired.
I'm not saying there might not be a situation where people start to run out of money more than, say they've had these last couple of years. And because of that and a few other circumstances that they're not being able to make their mortgage payments. But then again, it would be a situation where you're forced to sell.
Right.
And you would have equity.
Are they putting the missed payments or the forbearance payments on the back end?
Well, even if your bank says we're not going to work with you so much with that anymore, even if the extra money or government assistance or whatever it is isn't stepping into play anymore,
right? And
say you mishandled things, your money, whatever it is, and now it's tight, and that's leading you to miss your mortgage payments or whatever it is. Even at that point, if anything, okay, you're forced to sell, which is a bad situation, but you've got enough equity where I don't understand where the foreclosure is going to come in. Yeah. I'm not saying there might not be some, but I don't understand where it's going to be such a intrusion that it's going to bring down home prices.
I don't think it's going to do anything. It may have opportunity for some people, but I think there was a lot of idea that there's going to be a lot of foreclosures on the market. You're going to come in with pennies on the dollar, and we're going to see that market again. And you know what? We may see foreclosures. The difference, though, is that people have, even people that have bought a home 10 or maybe a year or 2 years ago, they may have still 10, 20, 25% equity, where it gives them enough just to refinance if they had to, potentially just to pay off those payments. So I don't see it happening.
Well, here's what people need to understand too, which is when banks put a foreclosure on the market, they put it at market value. The only way that a ton of foreclosures banks would start listing it below market value would be if there's no more buyers. Like in the housing crash of 07 or 08, there was a period for like 2 years where nobody was buying. So the banks had to keep on lowering the price,
right?
Because they had like probably 80% of the listings.
Well,
but originally, when a bank puts a foreclosure on the market, on the open public, they usually put it around market value. And most of them aren't run down with pipes missing and roof ripped. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they might be in a little less condition, but it's still going to be within market value of that condition.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so unless you have no more buyers showing up, they're not going to really be dropping the price. It's all going to run consecutive with what the regular price is in a market.
And what is our supply right now? I mean,
I think we have a little over 7,500.
Yeah,
I just did this morning. What did I
well,
say?
total supply is over 9,000.
Wow.
Right, over 9,000.
Over
yeah.
9,000. So
We're about 3.5 months supply now.
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, so a nice normal healthy market is between 4 to 6 months.
Good.
Once it starts going over 6 months, it's a buyer's market.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that once
Yeah.
we get closer to that 6 months that it's not already tilting point.
All right.
But technically, once it hits over 6 months, it's a buyer's market.
So I'll just say this: we agree that all of us agree really that this is probably not going to be a huge impact on foreclosures, which I think a lot of people look at. Banks have to take those homes back and put them back on the market value, like you said. And what I was told was it takes about 25% of whatever that cost is for purchasing that house or whatever that is, the equity that you would have to actually. I don't know what that number is, but there's a certain number that a bank will come in and say this is how much we have to charge or get back. That's why when you go into like getting a loan, 25%, there's no more mortgage insurance, is because the bank has enough equity to recoup it, put it back on the market, right?
And break even, worst case scenario.
So unless you have that much equity, I don't know what a bank would do if, let's say, you had 15% equity. I'm not sure. You'd have to, the servicer, each one is different. Let's go ahead and segue to another topic here, and we'll kind of keep moving. Non-farms payrolls came out, increased 528,000 in July, higher than expected. There's a lot of data out there that says that we're already in a recession. Look, a lot of people out there eyeball test, less spending, right? Consumer spending is down. There's a lot of weak economic data, manufacturing, international trade. A lot of this economic data is showing weak signs. One of them, though, is not employment. And there's a lot of pushback. Goldman Sachs came out. You've seen it. There's a lot of people and a lot of the government, just a lot of news out there. Economists feel that we're technically still not in a recession, and we'll just kind of squeak by it because the unemployment
I don't
is high,
think
or low.
since they've been keeping track since like 1928, we've never had a situation like this before, where basically we have employment going up, but there's a lot of technicals on the other end that basically says we're borderline recession, but then not really be in a recession.
No,
but then have
unemployment's low. It's 3.5%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, employment. I meant employment going up.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
further employment going up.
Well,
so we've never had a situation since they've been keeping track where we've been in this situation where it basically says recession, but we're not in recession.
Yeah, well, I think
It's
and
odd.
some of that actually has to do with they rewrote the definition of inflation.
Yeah, well, good point, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Just change the rules.
Change the rules, and then, because I mean,
never
still you
happened.
go to a grocery store and you still see bare shelves.
Yeah.
I mean, you do see.
That's what I'm saying. Is I just
and
think
they're-
it's weird because
So
personally, I think we are in a recession because of my eyeballs. Like you said, the eyeball test.
Right.
And they can say what they want about the indicators here and the technicals there, but everybody goes out, man, and is paying up the for gas, for groceries. Every time you go out and eat, it's twice as much. I mean, to do anything is twice as much as it has been before. And that's what everybody notices across the board. And I understand a lot of it's a perception, but regardless,
eyeball test is huge.
You can tell me we're technically in this or not.
eyeball
in this, but
test
I know what I
hits
see.
the gut.
Absolutely.
Well,
nothing deceives me with my eyes see what they see.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's what I'm saying is a lot of people are, just Americans and just people spending in general are looking at this economy going, yeah, I hear all this on the media that we're not. And look, we don't know. I mean, we're not economists, but I can tell you that for me and what I'm spending on my personal budget, I know things have gone up. So if I know that, that's where it's going to impact me. I can go out here and listen to say, okay, unemployment's low, and we have all these signals out there that says we're not in a recession, even though we've declined and we have a retraction. Again, I think you look at some of the stuff we're seeing here. Okay, Fed raised the Fed's fund rate. That's a check, right?
Yeah.
Inverted yield curve, 2-year and 10-year yield cross each other. That's a check.
Yeah.
You got new home sales, housing starts, and permits falling into recession because they're retracting,
Right.
offering any incentive they can to sell these houses. The leading economic index has declined for 6 months in a row. And overall, you see economic retraction. And so I'm not sure why we would not think we're in a recession. Like we would have to think.
I agree. I mean, let me say,
I'm not saying a full on, but it's got to be on the table, right?
So exactly. Here's the way I look at it. When I say that I feel we're in a recession, that's also being said with the fact that I think we've had it really good for the last couple of years. Really good. And we don't have it that good anymore. But the we don't have it that good anymore, as in right now, overall is still like it's not doomsday. The housing market's not going to crash. We're not going to all go bankrupt. We're not going to all lose our jobs. I think that it's a motion of getting back to normalcy that we need to have. And sometimes it needs to go a little bit in the negative to correct those things.
You don't think that
the negatives is not good, but I don't think it's a doomsday scenario. The world's not by any means. I definitely think that the sentiment and mentality of this country and the world in 07, 08 is tenfold. I remember homes being listed and everyone being like, oh, it's going to take 20, 25 years for home prices to come back. Within 4 years, they were back. Within 10 years, they were 3 times the price.
Yeah, I want to go through a couple of. We have a couple of questions, and Doug, you can also elaborate if you have any. You have anything to add to that, Doug?
No.
No. Okay, so I want to go through a couple of questions here.
Oh no, I just listening today.
First off,
I had your listening ears on.
I want to say this. Good morning to DJ. Good morning, Hakeem. Kismet, Verstar. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Ver?
So let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring this over here just for a second.
The usual suspects, man.
The usual suspects. All right, Brett, there's a couple of questions. There was one, I think, that
hold on, let me get my glasses.
He had over here. Is it possible to purchase a new home build for $500,000 with upgraded kitchen and floors? That's by Hakeem. So
yeah, in fact, I know D.R. Horton, I think, with their quick move-in, the espresso homes they have in the Northwest by Sky Canyon.
Yep.
They had, I think they were like 1,600 or 1,700 square feet, single story, but they were, I think they lowered it down to $475. Now I think it's around $450 or $460. But yeah, they have upgraded flooring, everything. Yeah, it just depends. But you're definitely going to be able to find that now. Mm-hmm. If it was 6 months ago, I would say, man, we'd just be lucky if we can get in somewhere. But I think it's definitely possible. I would have to look specifics, but if he wants to know specifically, I can give him a few communities after the show.
And if you guys have any questions during the show, we're going to answer all your questions. And if you guys have any comments about anything, we'll definitely help you guys out. So let's keep going. Let's see if they got any more questions here. So if you guys, let's take a look and see what else is over here. So Veristar said, yes, we're kind of normalizing, I guess, right? The economy. It's kind of stabilizing itself. I would agree. I just think that, again, if we start to see laying off, or you start to see just people getting laid off, or you see people, I guess, businesses not hiring, and you see that somewhat in a frenzy, I think that's just more of an indication. But they're kind of leaning on, hey, the employment situation's really good, so we can't technically be in a recession yet. And I agree to them to some point, but again, the eyeball test tells me that what my personal expenses are is a lot higher.
That's what I'm saying is, hey, no one's saying that it's hard to get a job right now. What we're saying is everything costs twice as much.
Yeah.
All right?
100%.
Well, the one thing I did hear...
good for you for getting a job, but that has nothing to do with me. You know what has to do with me? Paying twice as much for my shit.
Yeah, right. Well, and I did hear, we have some friends that went overseas, and all the airline stuff, the travel and travel industry and stuff. I think that you're seeing I don't know how the unemployment relates to that, because I know that they don't have the people that they did to get people to travel as much as they used to. So the unemployment is very high in the airline and the travel industry. So
you think that's a good indicator, though, of like the psychological position? Because even with the media,
I think there's no more free money. That's what it's an indicator of.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Because the government gave out a lot of free money, basically, in a lot of different ways these last couple of years, and people were spending that on things.
Well,
had no problem booking flights and vacations and all.
Yeah, but
that.
don't you think that money's dried up a little? I mean, this is
that's exactly what I'm
gone,
saying,
though, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, see
No more free money.
people are generally used to, walking free about the cabin. I mean, they want to travel, they want to live, they want to, they want to.
Even if they don't, they want the option.
They want the option,
Yeah.
and I think the travel industry is kind of an indicator of maybe more of an indicator of an employment situation than what they're giving us.
Yeah,
That's my personal opinion, but I hear there's they have one person unloading bags for 2 planes. It's like, why don't they hire more people?
yeah.
If the unemployment rate is so low, then maybe you could put on 3 people per plane and you can get your bags faster and get your stuff out of
Who
there.
knows?
So I don't know. That's just a.
Well, I mean, the first thing that people stop spending is on excessive things like that.
Yeah.
When money gets tight.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, that's why Vegas was hit so hard with the housing crash.
Yeah.
Where we built on entertainment and construction, or we were.
Yeah.
Guess what stopped? Construction. Guess what we were? Entertainment. The first thing people stopped doing is going to Vegas and stuff.
And the thing about Vegas is actually that's turning. That's
But
that
that's
whole
the thing,
industry.
right? So then you got that going where they're like Vegas is on fire right now, man,
Yeah.
with all the activity.
So here's my thing is that I have
It's weird,
people that
man,
work
right
in an
now.
industry, and you actually brought up a good point in the casino industry. My mom actually works in there, and she does sheet metal, and so is my uncle, Mrs. French. And shout out to Mrs. French and Mr. French.
Mr. and Mrs.?
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. So anyways, they
You
have
raised a weird son.
They have a high amount of orders, POs, right?
Yeah.
From casinos. And it tells me that they're still ordering sheet metal. They're still ordering, orders to get things into the casinos because people are going to gamble.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's a vice, but there's certain things that people just don't give up or can't give up. I'm not going to say it's on a level of an alcoholic, but I'm just saying you got to think. You said Vegas was hit hard, yet we have high inflation. We have things going on. You see the Strip. You see the economy here still doing well. Now, again, personal stuff going on where am I being affected, and can I see it out of my pocketbook? Absolutely. But you still see Las Vegas thriving. You still have casinos and people coming and traveling.
An indicator that things are different because of the housing crash, and this in 07, 08, man, this was a ghost town in a lot of ways. And right now we've got a recession technically, or I think we do, but at the same time, like you said, this town's on fire right now. I mean,
we've got a lot of
it's business as usual and then some.
One of the things that I look coming from the engineering and construction industry, what I see right now is a lot of the tilt-up warehouse buildings being built. And generally what that is that's manufacturing, and it's also where you can actually start becoming a hub. Like, you have production going on, and so I see a lot of that going on up in the north.
Yeah, so do I.
And so I think we're becoming maybe more of a production manufacturing type town.
We're becoming more diverse.
Becoming more diverse. So we're getting, the construction, the casinos, and then maybe more production and manufacturing.
That's one thing that I think we, as a town, we really learned during the last housing crash.
Yeah.
Which was, like I said, we were diverse in 2 areas, construction and entertainment.
Yeah.
And then we saw what happened.
Yeah.
And we said, man, we need to diversify our economy a little bit, which you've seen city leaders and the mayor and stuff in North Vegas push a lot of production and a lot of industrials that come in. And all it does is help diversify and help the economy. 100%. It's a smart move, and I'm glad they learned from it. But there you go. There's evidence of that.
So I can say this, that the rates have lowered a little bit. I think that's spiked up the activity level for people buying homes. I mean, not everybody's in a market to buy, so that's happening here in Las Vegas. I see just a slight uptick in as far as the activity level. We also know that school starts here next Monday. Right?
Oh, it does, huh?
Yeah, for the kids, right? And so that's going to be something. It's going to be a new start for people out there with kids that are going back to school. I went to the open house for my son, and and it's pretty neat. I mean, the thing is that it's the way they have it laid out and everything. look, I get it. Some of the school systems and the
So what is that? Because I don't have kids. So what an open house is just
yeah, you
like
do. You got 2 cats, 5 dogs, right?
yeah, I don't need to take them to school, brother.
So it's just you get to go meet the teacher,
okay,
right? And then you kind of settle. You go in and you see where all the kids are going to be sitting. You go and see where the cafeteria is at. I went and saw the gymnasium.
Okay.
And then you kind of get to a structure of how the school runs.
Of what your kid's day is going to be.
Yeah, and a lot of this technology and the new schooling, and dude, they got cameras everywhere.
Dude, I have no idea.
It's
I haven't
crazy.
been to school in 30 years.
Like it's just completely different world. It's a completely different world when I was a kid, right?
Me too.
I mean, it was
I'm
more
older
for
than you.
freelance when I was a kid. Like people wouldn't, there wouldn't be all these cameras and all this
There
structure.
were none.
There's way more structure, I feel like.
Yeah.
In today's world, what do you feel about that,
dude? And like school shootings, dude. I'm from a town of 800 people, and the kids used to pull up in the parking lot in their trucks with their gun racks in the back.
Well, that sounds like
sitting
where I went
there
to
in the
school.
parking lot. Like it was no big deal.
Yeah, man, but that's when you're.
That's how old I am.
That's
man.
Redneckville.
But I
though,
think-
isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be allowed to do that in this day and age.
They showed up with their cheese and beer and
I'm just saying,
meat,
yeah, it was
potatoes,
redneck.
and a gun. They said, "Let's get it
I'm
going,
just
boys."
telling you, that stuff didn't. I mean, in fact, if anyone tried it, the kids would just go out to their truck and come back in and take the kid out.
Yeah. Well, I had 3 kids that went through the whole school system here, and they were all born here. And middle school got a little tough. The grade schools they went to were good. High schools, I think, well, at least Coronado, it was overcrowded. It was like I can't remember.
Coronado's a good school, or considered a good school.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's a good school. Yeah, and it was actually.
Those are Cougars, right?
Yeah, I actually worked on that school,
love Cougars.
building when they were building it, and it was a great school when they first started. But I think what happens is you get an overpopulation of kids, and then
Well,
so I don't know what the
Vegas can grow quick.
I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know what the budget is for construction new schools, and because we're growing. I think what are we at?
No
3.1 million, 3.1 million people in Nevada now, and two something in Nevada. In
We're
Las
growing.
Vegas.
I just think that the school system. What do you think about the school system? Like, do you feel like when your kids went through that, is it better now?
Well, the thing that kind of bugged me was they had one-way hallway systems. It was so crowded, and they
It's different, right?
yeah, it's like
one-way hallway systems.
well, you go out of your classroom and
you can only go one way.
You can only go one way, even if your locker's to the
kidding me?
right, you have to go to the left.
Really?
Yeah, that's like yeah.
Huh?
So that
What's the purpose of that?
I don't know. To be honest with you, our kid, one of my kids, he was kind of a. Well, he went the wrong way because his locker was right there, and he got tired of going all the way around the thing and going to it, and he got caught, and he had to go to detention after school. So, yeah.
Dude, wait, your
Shut
kid
up, dude. Are you serious?
I swear to God, man. I'm like, what the hell?
Does your kid? Is that the first time your kid ever went to detention?
I don't know.
Did you ever catch your kids doing like ditch day or something, like where it was like a ditch Friday? And then you come home early and you're like, wait a second, what are you doing?
Doug took him out back to the tool shed.
They don't,
Boy, let me tell you something.
They don't come home when they do
Wisconsin,
that.
baby, Wisconsin.
You get arrested doing that now.
So they don't come home. Like they don't say, okay, well, dad's not here, mom's at work or whatever. We're just gonna go home and chill. Or you guys,
Nah,
not at all.
They don't do that. Yeah,
Really?
they go somewhere else or whatever.
And then they come home like, oh, how was today? Oh, it was great. We did so much work today. Brett, did you ever do that, man? Did you ever ditch?
No, man, you couldn't.
Why?
I had 43 kids in my graduating class.
Yeah.
Like the principal's office was right there by the front door.
I think
You couldn't just go out and leave. We had no open campus. If you saw you on the parking lot, you'd say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Wow, 43 people, dude.
Well, I mean, we had like 150 in my entire high school. Watch out.
Yeah, I hope.
But I mean, dude,
I hope
it wasn't
they work
like-
on the. I hope they work on the school system.
Dude,
here
I remember
because-
if we wore a baseball cap into school, the principal would take it. At the end of the year, you'd have like 100 caps sitting in his office.
Oh,
and
really?
he'd come pick it up, yeah. You couldn't chew gum. You couldn't wear a cap. Nothing.
What were you going to say about that?
Well, I was just gonna say, I hope they're doing stuff to work on the school system here because we've always been in the bottom of the belly for our education
Because
system.
they don't
here.
spend money on it.
Yeah, because it's like
It's real simple.
we're like what 48 or 49 in our school.
It's like a business. A business usually does better when you stick money into it.
Right. Yeah, and you get well trained people. you know?
And we're just kind of giving you guys everything Las Vegas because that's what this channel is about. Also, Brett's Raiders won on Thursday, right, Brett?
I'm a Packer fan, brother, but the Raiders are a close second.
He was all over it. He's
believe
like,
that?
yeah, I don't even watch football, but he's like, man, they're playing tonight.
Because it was the first preseason game of the year. You remember what I said? It's Sport of Kings, better than Diamond Rings. Football.
I think Brett's a Raiders closet.
I do like the Raiders with 100%.
I mean, really?
Right behind the Packers, absolutely.
Do you watch football at all?
No, I don't.
Not at all.
No, I used to. I mean, I grew
It's
up
too
on
tame
it.
of a game for Doug.
I used to. I mean, I never missed a Monday night or Thursday night, Sunday.
When'd you quit watching football?
Probably when I started my business.
So you're gonna be like my dad. When they stopped kneeling, I quit watching football.
No, I stopped watching it probably
I still love
early
football, so.
early 2000s. I mean, the thing that got me so dating myself a little bit here. When they went to the free agent thing, that really kind of blew a lot of things.
Yeah, but you know what I liked that they did versus any
there's
other
pros
sport
and cons
is
to
the
it. I
salary cap.
understand.
The salary cap really saved it.
Yeah.
Because now now you have like the Yankees or you have some NBA basketball team and whatever it is, they can spend like the Yankees, they can spend all the money in the world because they have a huge payroll that they can afford.
Yeah.
But with a salary cap in the NFL, every single team can only spend the same amount every year.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more competitive, man. It does.
Yeah.
I think it saves the sport in my mind.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
there are
helps,
pros.
definitely.
There are pros and cons to it. I was used to, like, when I was a kid. You had your favorites. You had your like, Fran Tarkenton.
You just can't have four
whatever.
All-Stars on one team anymore.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But that's good.
because they can't afford that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's salary cap, you know?
So let's say this monsoon season's here, and I'm going to say this before we move into we're going to segue again to the real estate side, and we're going to talk a little bit with Brett, and we're going to go through that together. But you guys feeling the weather's a lot better right now because of monsoon? Like
Absolutely.
I welcome monsoon during these months, don't you?
Boy, it's
nice, isn't it?
It's humid.
It is. Yeah, you're right. It is, man, for humid.
That's
But
like
I tell you
I'm
what,
soaked at the end of the day.
You can catch some days where the clouds are under. It's under the,
Yeah, it has been nice, and then you get a little bit of breeze blowing through, and it's actually nice. You're not hitting 110, 115.
But the humidity days.
Humidity.
I get it, man.
Yeah,
I'm from Wisconsin.
It gets wet.
Wisco. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and segue.
Cool.
This is the time. Hold on.
Where are we getting into the actual numbers?
All right, guys. So let's get right into what's going on here on the real estate side of it here.
The
in
real
Las Vegas.
real.
The real. So first off, let's go ahead and go over here. Want to bring up the numbers here. So Brett, can you read off some of these numbers here? So this is over the last 7 days. This is why we're providing this to you.
Actives, there are what?
Go ahead, Brett.
8,002, right?
Yep.
Actives
Yep.
with the highest. Wow, man, look at that. The highest list price in the last 7 days is $32.5 million.
Wow. But you look at that. Look at the list versus closing right here. This is the last 7 days. You can see that. So what's the coming soon, and then also what's sold, and what's that price point at that sold on the median price?
So the average price for coming soon is $499,950. So basically $500.
So $500.
It's about $260 a square foot is the average price for coming soon. The average price for ones under contract is $460.
$460. That's coming down. It's coming down. I mean, like I said.
But I mean, taking consideration, it could be a higher group of homes or a lesser group of homes.
Well, this is encompassing everything, though.
Correct. I'm just saying.
Look at what's sold.
For sold, $476, and then, I mean, look at coming soon is what, $499 though.
Yeah, I mean, look at the
right. So that's higher than the $460
coming soon, but that's a list, right? So it's okay.
So and that's the thing too, which is how many out of those people could be listing their house on the high side to begin with, and they're going to eventually be coming down. So you can't put too much weight into that.
Right.
It just kind of isn't, just an indicator or a number right now. But
so
sold was $476. Right?
I mean, look, that's
the average sold per square foot was $256. I would say that's about average.
That's about average. Here's my thing is that you're going to see a little bit of volatility, but overall we see a consistent coming down on these properties and these prices of these homes also on the average median price home. I mean,
here's another indicator, which is homes under contract.
Yeah.
Average days on the market is 29 days.
That tells you right there they're sitting longer.
The ones sold were 24.
There you go.
So they're sitting about a week longer.
There you go. So let's go over to the PowerPoint.
But keep in mind, 30
presentation.
days is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Absolutely. So let's look at the month of July for 2022. And we like to bring this up to you, everybody out there, so you can see what's happening. So look.
That's what I like right there.
Yep.
3.5 months.
So we're up in list units available 143%.
Yeah.
Units sold here for this is single family residence is 2,066. That's declined 38%. You got average price for a home is 465,000. Isn't that? It's just crazy. The listings, new listings, 484,000.
All these other numbers don't mean anything but these two.
Well, you got 3.5
up 140% and a 3.5.
3.5 months supply.
Yeah. Well, look at that. The effective availability for a month's supply is up almost 300%.
Yeah, I mean, look at condos, right? So look, this is good information. 3.5 months, right? So where do you think that number is going to hit? Do you think we're going to stop at 4, 5, 6 months? What do you think?
I don't know. I think we'll probably stay within 6 months. I mean, I'd be surprised if it hits 6 months.
Yeah.
It might. And if it goes over 6 months, it goes over 6 months. I still don't see anything, some huge housing crash. But, you know, hey man, getting back to normal is considered
so when it goes over 6 months, like say if it went to 7 months, then it's
technically a buyer's market.
Okay. Is it anything to worry about?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, in a sense, because look what happened when we had an extreme seller's market. Yeah. Sellers could walk in and say, we want the world and get it.
So when we go over 6 months, do the prices start coming down when the buyers demand lower prices?
Well, they're already starting to come down now, but I think they're starting to come down now to be more in line with what it normally should be.
Okay.
If we hit above 6 months, in my mind, then it's going to start going below what it should normally sell in a normal market. What's that going to be? I don't think it would be anything dramatic, but you're definitely going to have options and terms to your advantage.
Do you think the new home builds will slow when it becomes more of a buyer's market?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they really have a good pulse on keeping track of the ebb and flow of what they need to do.
Okay.
In fact, that's kind of what makes or breaks their business.
Yeah.
Is being able to say what's going to happen, what supplies do we need to order, what land should we buy, what's going to be happening in the next 2 or 3 months, do we need to make adjustments here, and making those adjustments along the way, I think is probably the most productive way to go about a building business as far as, you know, surviving or not surviving.
So do you think that is 7 months extreme buyers or is 9 months extreme?
It's not extreme, but it's definitely.
Would 9 months?
I mean, I definitely would probably feel better about listing my home in a market that's not, 7 months supply.
6 months, yeah.
Because then, it's like anything. It's all relative. So say you have a $500,000 house and somebody, but you got to take in consideration of what is the market value of that property when we hit that point.
Yeah.
Is it already down 10%? Or has it had been basically, if we stay around this purchase price right now, give or take a little bit, but all of a sudden we go to over 6 months, then yes, you're going to see the market go down immediately. Yeah. But I think that it's not just right now and then right now, left and right. Like it gradually starts to happen.
Sure,
so we're starting to see right now, we had a huge increase of 300%, but that's still just getting us back to the normal pace.
Yeah.
You think we're going to have another 300 or 400%? We could, but now we're really hitting extreme numbers, right?
Just a couple months ago, it was like 0.7 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I can't predict anything other than to observe what's going on right now and base it off my past experience. You know?
There's a reason for it though. It's rates, mortgage rates. So look, there's usually some outside force that's happening, making this happen, and that's why it happens so quick. But going back to it, you're looking at these numbers. 6 months supply is a death sentence to builders because there's just so much supply on the market that. Buyers can go out there and they can really pick and choose what they want. And, builders, new homes traditionally cost more money. Sure. So now they really got to throw even more at it to make people come in. So let's go back.
It's a matter of them being able to, make the right adjustments.
Yeah.
as they go along.
I feel that's not going to be like, it's good to be 6 months. I feel that it's healthy to have more properties, but there's got to be an even balance where at some point we have to start looking at this going, okay, if we're at 12,000, 15,000, is that too much? I mean,
technically, I think we're at a good balance right now. We're approaching a good balance right now in my mind. And we still got a little wiggle room. Don't get me wrong.
Do you think the hedge funds have anything to do with the supply?
I know they're full speed ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? But let me say this. So the cash investors and buyers for buying investment properties is a very small number. I think it's like 10% of the market.
All right.
So yeah, they're making a difference, but it's not hitting a lot of.
They're still full speed ahead, but they're not the majority of the market.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Yeah. So let's go back here. So Brett, you can keep going. So townhomes and condos, 606 units sold here. You look at the average median price for a home. That's
271.
actually 271. That's up, right?
And then you have less of a supply of condos, 2.7 months.
So you have also $280,000 median price for a new listing. That's
compared to 271, so they're actually going up.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I look at is I think there's a lot of people out there that were not buying single-family residence homes because they couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. If they wait on the sidelines another month or two, they're going to be able to buy into those markets again.
Yep.
Because rates may have stabilized. I feel like they have. I also feel that as we keep seeing these price reductions, is it going to drop to $300,000? No, it's not. I don't think it's going to, the same house, but it's not unrealistic for it to drop, $50,000, $60,000, where it now puts them back into a position to buy a house. So you come
that's a lot, actually.
It is.
That
is a lot.
I mean,
that is a lot. And when the feds raised the rates, that was their way of saying we want everyone back to work. It really is.
Okay.
Because look what happened.
Yeah.
Like no more free money.
Yeah.
Basically, and we're going to take it up and we're going to cut off the free money
true.
and we're going to force everyone's hand on this because we need to make up for the overcorrection that we made to begin with. To me, that says we want everyone to get back to work.
So I want you to look at this here real quick and just kind of talk into them. It's hard to talk in the mic, I understand. So coming over here, so units sold. This is the market statistics for single-family residence units. So I'm going to leave this up here so people can really take a look at this. You can kind of brush over some of the things that you see that may have
number
highlighted.
of units sold is down 22%.
Yeah.
Number of units sold. Yeah.
Year over year, right?
Growth from July 2021 down 38%.
Yeah. It's crazy numbers, right?
It is, but keep in mind, our growth was something we've never seen before either.
Right.
So even to come down 38% is bringing it into correction territory.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, 38% is a high number. Just, you got to put it in the context of.
Well, I think a lot, and I think a lot of that too is the fact that California was moving in here in droves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the tax situation and all that other stuff in California. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, and he was just elated to be able to get out of California.
Should I know they can't run fast enough?
Although I've heard and seen a little bit more of people though that from California, they are because of the tax reasons, but the price difference is not as big as it was. So
correct.
And that's
true.
That's kind of one of the, I guess, negatives for a lot of these people that if you waited, just like if you're listing your house, if you waited, 3 or 4 months ago, you could have got $40,000, $60,000,
40 or 50 grand more for the same house,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a timing thing for a lot of these people.
Right.
It is.
All right, let's go back to here. We got single family residence units here. Go ahead, Brett. You got anything else here that you think is important or stands out for townhomes and condos?
Just the effective months of availability from last June is up almost 65%.
What about the drop though? The percentage of drop. It's like you see like a huge is there putting out market statistics on how much? Because I feel like we've dropped maybe close to 10%, right, from the highest average median price to what it's compared to today. We're hovering. We got to be hovering around 10%.
New listings.
Yeah.
Prices sold right here.
Yeah.
So we're down 5%.
5%. So there you go. I mean, so look.
Yeah, we're down 5% from last June.
It's not going to be devastating, but we're going to continue, I think, to see this happen.
Keep in mind, it might be a little higher in all reality, though, because that's 5% based off of last June. Last June was nowhere near the peak that we got.
Yeah, and somebody
Right?
told, somebody.
So if it was based off of 5% from the peak, then we would, that's not that much. But it's actually based off 5% of something that's a number that's already lower than what the peak was.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to say this too, is that somebody also brought up, hey, Dan, do you think that rates will ever get back to 3%? And, it could, but it would be a lot of artificial, help with the Fed purchasing bonds.
Like this last time.
Mortgage, it's the same thing. Like,
Well, I mean, when you
there's
got free
there's two
money,
levers.
when you got free money, when you go to 0% interest, the banks are just borrowing money at zero. Then
Free money. I mean,
Yeah,
I got
I
plenty of
don't-
money to
I
get
don't
around when I'm getting it free.
Yeah, I don't see that happening again.
I don't see it happening. Could
Monetary
it,
policy.
Could it happen? No,
Yeah.
and there's a way for it to happen. Yes, I just don't feel that it's going to happen from here to that. For the next few months, it would have to take something where the economy completely stopped, because that's one of the ways the Fed stimulates the economy, is because now things are cheaper.
Yeah.
You can go out and buy things. You can get a mortgage rate cheaper.
That's what I'm saying
So-
is the Fed did what they intended to do during COVID.
Right.
And them raising the interest rates drastically like they did and doing what they did is them doing what they wanted to do. It's forcing people's hands. You can't ask people. You just have to do it.
Right.
And that to me is, like I said, that was their way of saying, okay, everybody,
Well, and
vacation's over, time to go back to work.
And the thing is they actually telegraphed it in the beginning of the year. They said they're going to raise the rates
Shouldn't be any
continuously throughout
'Cause they had to.
2022. Yeah, they had to. They knew-
things
they-
can't go up forever.
No.
That's
And we got to keep
it's
going
math.
here, because we're running out of time here, Brett. So let's go over here. Let's take a look at what's happening here. So let's look at the market trends, or the family market trends, and you can see the graph all year by year. 2,066 units. This is
look at that number of closings from last month down 22%.
22%.
Remember we said we're like, where are the buyers at the last 3 weeks?
38%.
Told ya.
All right, look at the median closing price. Right, this is closing price.
465.
The list price, I think, was at 472.
So it's down 3.1% from last month,
yeah,
but still up almost 15% from last year.
there you go.
So
Yeah,
even if you're going down 3%, 4%, 5% every month, you still got 3 or 4 times before we're catching up to just what it increased.
I mean, just
from
look
last year at this
at
point.
the chart. I mean, the chart will tell you the
Yeah, I
the
mean,
whole
look at that,
story,
dude. That's
right?
insane.
Yeah.
Let's keep going to number of new listings. This is also a good indicator. Look at this graph right here, where you see this number of new listings
Think
just
about that, man.
spike up.
We're up 143, almost
143.
44% for number of listings from last year at this time.
Wow, isn't that insane? I mean,
Up
that's just.
almost 20.
I remember
almost
last year,
20%.
man. We were like, "Is this ever going to
Dude,
change?
remember that?
Is it ever
We're just
going to
like,
change?"
Dude, there's like, literally, I remember doing searches for people,
Yeah.
and was it Inspirata
Oh yeah.
and Anthem, and it was like between a $6 and $950,000 search, blah blah blah, and there were literally like 4 or 5 properties.
Wow.
I mean, do you know how stupid that is to have that kind of price point?
ridiculous.
And there's like 5. I mean, I know it was a specific area, but
Let's keep
A
going
lot of
here.
fluctuations.
that's why
going
people
on.
were paying
Yeah,
50 or 60 grand over.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, we got to get this
So
done
let's-
here.
yeah.
So look, we got an available month's supply, and then we're going to go ahead and go over to Doug here. But of effective months of available supply, you got 3.5 months.
Look at
of
that, just shoot right up.
Yeah,
Boom.
shoot, dude, 54%. Is that right, or is that 64?
So this looks a lot to me like normal.
So where you're seeing
It
the
never
4.
really went above this, and that's
Think about it. Since
we shot there very
since
quickly.
2015, we haven't had a 5-month supply. The highest we got was 4 months.
So I guess to go back to what you're saying, if we do hit the 6 month based off of looking at this, then yes, I would be a lot more concerned than I guess I
Yeah.
stated a few minutes ago, because that would be the first time we hit that benchmark.
It's a good chart.
In a long time.
It's a great
Yeah.
chart, huh?
So
Yeah.
that's a really good chart.
Time on the market here.
I want to marry it.
30 days or less. So look at this. 30 days or less, you got 83.6% of closings. And this is time on the market 30 days or less is increasing. So that means days on the market is going up, correct, Brett?
Yep.
And that's really, look, I mean, it's been going up really, I wouldn't say since 2021, but you could say we had a dip and then it came back. You're seeing huge increases on this. And then condo market trends, and then we have to really keep moving because we're running out of time. But this is all great information. If you guys want
Dude,
more
look
information.
at the condo price.
I was going to say
Man,
this.
I remember I bought a condo in 2010 for $50,000 off of Warm Springs in Durango. Dude, in the falls, they had like a clubhouse, 2 gyms, 2 pool, man, or a gym, 2 pools. Gate, man, I think about that now.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, I should have held on to that. That thing probably is around 300 now. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to keep moving. Doug, do you have anything to talk about with home inspections? Because I know we're running out of time. We kind of got over.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
A couple things, with the weather we're having right now and the rains we're having right now. Check the drainage around your house and make sure you got good drainage going out around your house. Make sure that your soil and your landscaping isn't up on the up over the bottom of the stucco, that kind of thing. Yeah. Because what happens is your moisture actually will crawl into the walls from your soils and stuff like that, and cause problems. But I noticed just doing some inspections this week. We had some bad drainage around the houses, and there's puddles and ponds and stuff like that.
That was found out this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's amazing what the rain will show you.
So just let it rain, we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, I think I probably brought this up before, but just make sure that the valleys on your roof are all cleaned out, because a lot of times your vegetation and your dirt and everything else, bird shit,
clog it up.
Yeah, it clogs it up, and then basically what happens is the water, instead of draining off the roof, it goes around the debris in the valleys, and then it'll start making problems for you.
It's like your arteries. Keep them clean.
Yeah, keep them clean. Keep the water flowing to the street. The streets are always your best conduits to drain off. So just make sure everything drains to the street. So
cool.
Yeah.
If you guys have questions about anything happening with your home, and I'm going to take Doug. I think I'm going to have to hire Doug for a couple other things here, just for my own personal stuff. But he's great at finding your home, and as far as monitoring, telling you what's wrong with it. Check him out, LV Las Vegas Home Inspections.
LVHomeInspections.com.
LVHomeInspections.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you have any questions about anything with your house, give me a call. If I don't answer, just leave me a message and I'll return your call. But there's a lot of things that like people new to the area aren't familiar with,
because they're not familiar with the landscape.
They're not familiar with the area and how it works. But anyway, if you have any questions, just feel free to give me a call. It doesn't have to be for an inspection. It just, if you say, hey,
hey, let's go have a beer.
Yeah. No, well,
let's go to the library.
Let's go watch a football game. Go to the library. Go to the library day?
Yeah, right. Yeah, library. Yeah.
So let's go over here.
We got a library in our house, man.
I got a couple of questions here. So I want to bring up these questions that people have put out here. So we got to end the show here. So CC, hi, how are you? Shout out to CC.
CC.
So let's keep going on this. So Jeff said things are slowing down heading into the fall and winter months. Absolutely.
Yep.
I think people go back to school.
Especially right now.
Right. It's just right. It's just that time of year, right? So we have to agree on that. Also, DJ said, aren't those $465,000 homes the older 1980s, the 90s outdated homes? Not necessarily, because like I said, I'm listing houses.
You mean talking about the average price of them?
Yeah.
Are those?
Yeah, that's an accumulation of all the homes on the market. That doesn't mean it's just the 80s and 90s. There's some 80s and 90s homes, like you were talking and I was talking, is that if they've upgraded them, they're pretty good shape. They give a lot more value, especially if you put in updated cabinets and flooring, and like you said,
well, you got a yard with that too.
Yeah, exactly.
You got landscaping and you got a yard with it too.
The average square foot sold what, 260, 250, 60. That's including brand news.
Yeah,
that's including olds.
So you don't have to put $50,000-$60,000 into a landscape.
All right, so let's keep going here. Let's go ahead and do this last question here, and then we got to go. So the last question is from Jeff. I think 5% rates will be the new plateau, just as 2.5 was a year ago. 100% agree with that.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Data that I'm seeing is that's what the activity is. It doesn't mean it couldn't change, but I think what the Fed has done is slow the economy enough. I think the next thing is looking at unemployment, and that's...
What was the interest rate, say, for the previous average on years leading up before COVID? What were they? What was say the last 5 or 6 years before that? What was the average interest rate?
I mean, rates haven't really fluctuated very much at all. I would say roughly 3 to 5%.
There you
5% on the high.
So we're within normal. Within normal.
So this year though, we've hit a new plateau where we haven't seen 6% rates
in a while.
I would say in the last at least 5 to 7 years. So I think the psychological position that put people in
They
is
needed
that
to.
They needed, and so people have to say, okay, can I do all this, right?
Yeah.
Can I let it settle? So to answer his question, absolutely. I think that's going to be the new plateau.
Yep.
Doesn't mean it's going to be 5. It just means that 5 to
It'll be
6
somewhere
range.
around there. Yeah.
That's going to be fluctuating
Well,
volatile.
Just a quick note. I bought my place about 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago now, and it was a 4.75 on a VA loan.
There you go.
And so I refinanced.
And you were thankful for that too, weren't you?
I
at the
was.
time?
It actually
That's a
worked
good
out
rate.
well, you know. And then when it came down, I just refinanced to the like 1.9% or whatever.
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was.
dude.
Yeah, you
Like, that's the thing.
gotta
People,
do it, right?
people don't understand. Like, people were overpaying for homes because your interest rate was so cheap that you're literally getting that house for 30% less than you would right now.
Yeah.
At a normal rate.
Well, yeah, the place is actually cheaper.
People are going to
than
keep going when they're
cheaper
getting that
than
kind
the
of
condo
opportunity.
at the price they are now. At the rates they are now.
So again, it's going to be a case by case. If you need to buy, you need to buy. I think that's going to be the big thing here. I also want to bring up one last thing, and then we got to go here. So this is my website, lvhomeprofessionals.com. So go here. Like I said, you guys want to register on this. This is a great website, and people need to utilize it more. I understand, maybe this economy, the market's kind of putting people in a hesitating position where they don't know.
Buy when you feels right for you.
Well, I think it puts your feelers out. There's people that go on this site, and then I work with them 6, 8, 9 months later because they're just now they're ready. Mentally, they're ready.
Exactly.
The next thing is that here's the move-in readies. Like I said, you got your Pierce. If you guys want to go and check this out, all this information's in the comment section. You got your Pierce. This is move-in ready. Huge price reductions for Pulte new homes. Also, this is the Juliet. So we have 2 of those. Homes reduced and also open houses. If you guys also want to know, I can list your house, and we'll definitely get you guys going on that. We'll do a lot of marketing. And I also have a home that I just listed. Yeah, and I'm going to put out the information, 664 Peachy, right?
Yep, it's a townhouse that's, 2,500 square feet?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
With a garage.
Wow.
That's on the PGA golf course on hole number 9.
Yeah, and here's my thing
Is that
about
the
it.
TPA?
Badass.
Yeah, it's badass.
Sorry, TBC.
Yeah.
TBC.
And the thing
Sawgrass.
about this house is that it's in really good shape. It's in a great location up in Summerlin. And for me, I look at it, it's a great place. If you don't have a home and you're at that price point.
What's the price again?
$469.
Cheapest one in the complex.
And I'm going to
it is.
It's the cheapest,
it's the cheapest one. We said it needs to be the cheapest.
It needs to be the cheapest, absolutely.
In order for it to sell right now. Good condition. So, and then the HOAs are $250 a month for the immediate, but you get a lot with that.
Absolutely.
You get community pool, community golf,
all that.
community everything.
Yeah.
And then it's I think another $55 a month for Summerlin's Master. So about $305 a month.
About $305, yep. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you guys have questions on that, definitely DM me or you can email me, dan@lvhomesguru.com. Check us out there. Also, you can just text me, 702-557-6176. All my contact information is in there. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. You guys have anything else to say?
Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate it. Usually a lot of the same people every week. Love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Appreciate it. You like that? I'm actually nice. Oh, we're ended. Oh, I thought you were... Oh, all right. Goddamn French. Yeah, dude.